Number 10. Cadillac Cimarron, 1982 to 1988. The Cadillac Cimarron was built on the same J-body platform as the Chevrolet Cavalier, a compact economy car that retailed for roughly half the price. Cadillac added leather seating, a few cosmetic changes, and a significantly higher sticker price, then called it a luxury vehicle. The 1.8-liter four-cylinder produced 88 horsepower, a figure that was genuinely difficult to reconcile with the Cadillac crest on the hood. Buyers noticed immediately, and automotive journalists were direct in their criticism. Sales never approached GM's projections. The Cimarron wasn't a bad small car by the standards of its platform. It was a bad luxury car because it wasn't one. The buyers who trusted the Cadillac name paid a premium for a product that could not justify it. And the brand spent the better part of a decade recovering from the damage. Number 9. Ford Pinto Station Wagon, 1972 to 1980. The Ford Pinto sedan has its own place on this list, but the station wagon variant earns a separate entry because it extended the Pinto's most serious engineering problem to a body style marketed specifically to families. The fuel tank sat behind the rear axle with limited structural protection in a rear-end collision, the same placement that affected the sedan in a vehicle that regularly carried children. The wagon's longer body did not meaningfully improve the protection around the tank. Families bought it because it was affordable and practical, two qualities that should not have come at the cost of the one that matters most in a family vehicle. The wagon shared the sedan's recall history, its litigation history, and its legacy. Number 8. Chevrolet Corvair, 1960 to 1969. The Chevrolet Corvair was a genuinely ambitious car, air-cooled rear engine, European-influenced design, real engineering innovation for the American market of its era. Its early swing axle rear suspension, however, could produce unpredictable handling under certain conditions of speed and cornering, and drivers with limited experience found it difficult to manage. Ralph Nader documented these concerns in Unsafe at Any Speed in 1965, bringing the issue to national attention. Chevrolet had already revised the suspension for 1965, addressing the problem directly. But GM's response to Nader, which included hiring private investigators to monitor him, extended the story far beyond engineering. The Corvair was a better car than its worst reputation suggested. But the early safety concerns and the corporate reaction to scrutiny placed it permanently in this conversation. Number 7. AMC Gremlin, 1970 to 1978. The AMC Gremlin launched on April 1, 1970, a date that felt increasingly appropriate over time. American Motors built it as a domestic response to the import threat, developing it on an accelerated timeline by shortening an existing Hornet platform. The result was a proportional oddity whose fuel economy, the car's central selling point, was undermined by six-cylinder engines that were thirsty by the standards it was competing against. Build quality was inconsistent throughout the production run, and rust appeared early in the lower body. AMC had fewer resources than Ford or GM, and it showed. The Gremlin sold reasonably on price in its early years, but as Japanese import quality improved through the mid-1970s, the comparison became harder to ignore. The effort was genuine. The product fell short of what the moment required. Number 6. Chrysler TC by Maserati, 1989 to 1991. The Chrysler TC by Maserati was sold as a prestige collaboration, an American convertible with Italian credentials priced against European luxury imports. It was built on the same K-car platform as the Chrysler LeBaron, which retailed at a fraction of the TC's price. The visual similarities between the two cars were close enough that buyers who had paid for the Maserati Association found themselves in something that looked nearly identical to a car available for considerably less. The Maserati-sourced twin-cam engine in some configurations was genuine, but the base powertrain was standard Chrysler. Build quality varied across a production arrangement that spanned 2 continents. So fewer than 8,000 units were built before the model was discontinued after 3 years. The TC raised expectations that neither party was positioned to meet, and the result reflected that gap precisely. Number 5. Oldsmobile Diesel, 1978 to 1985. Oldsmobile introduced diesel engines across several of its models in 1978 by converting an existing gasoline V8 block to diesel specification. The problem was fundamental. Gasoline engine architecture is not built to the tolerances that diesel combustion pressures require. Head bolts stretched and failed. Head gaskets blew. Serious engine damage arrived well within any reasonable expectation of a normal service life, and warranty claims were extensive. The lasting damage extended far beyond Oldsmobile. American buyers who had purchased these cars in good faith, often motivated by the fuel economy advantages diesel promised during the energy crisis, left with a mistrust of diesel passenger cars that shaped the market for a generation. European manufacturers had already demonstrated that reliable diesel passenger vehicles were achievable. Oldsmobile demonstrated at scale what happened when that engineering discipline was not applied. Number 4. Chrysler Imperial, 1981 to 1983. The Chrysler Imperial was intended to revive one of the most storied names in American luxury history and compete directly with Cadillac and Lincoln. What arrived was a dressed-up K-car, the same compact platform that underpinned the economy-focused Dodge Aries. The digital dashboard malfunctioned regularly. The electronic voice alert system activated without cause or stayed silent when it should have spoken. Water leaked around window seals and paint peeled ahead of schedule. The Imperial was physically smaller than many mid-size competitors, yet priced as a flagship luxury product. Just over 12,000 units sold in the first year, and production ended after 3 model years with fewer than 16,000 total built. So Chrysler was trying to rebuild its reputation during one of the hardest periods in the company's history. The Imperial showed precisely how far the available resources fell short of the intention. Number 3. Chevrolet Vega, 1971 to 1977. The Chevrolet Vega was developed on an approximately 2-year timeline under pressure to reach the market before the competition. The 2.3-liter aluminum block engine used an aluminum cylinder bore without iron liners, technically innovative but requiring precise lubrication tolerances that the design did not reliably maintain. Owners reported oil consumption, overheating, and cylinder wall wear appearing well before high mileage. These were not isolated cases. They were widespread enough to define the car's reputation entirely. In 1972, approximately 500,000 Vegas were recalled for rear axle and throttle problems, one of the largest recalls in American automotive history at the time. Rust appeared early in the lower body. Later revisions improved the engine, but the owners who bought early had already absorbed the cost of lessons GM should have learned before production began. Number 2. Pontiac Aztek, 2001 to 2005. The Pontiac Aztek arrived ahead of the crossover segment that would eventually dominate the American market, which makes its failure more striking, not less. The concept was sound. The execution produced exterior styling that drew immediate and sustained negative reactions across automotive media, with multiple publications naming it among the worst designed cars of the era. Beyond the styling, the Aztek's adventure vehicle positioning was undermined by a front-wheel drive platform that limited its actual off-road capability. The interior offered genuine practicality, a convertible center console cooler, and optional camping setup. But none of it overcame the first impression the car made. Sales fell well below projections throughout the 5-year production run. GM discontinued Pontiac entirely in 2010 as part of its bankruptcy restructuring. The Aztek did not cause that outcome on its own, but it became the symbol of a brand that had stopped knowing what it stood for. Number 1. Ford Pinto, 1971 to 1980. Every car on this list failed through rushed engineering, misplaced ambition, or a product that could not deliver what its badge implied. The Ford Pinto failed differently. Launched in 1971 and sold in large numbers, it looked like a commercial success. The engineering issue that defines its legacy was the fuel tank, positioned between the rear bumper and the rear axle with limited structural protection in a rear-end collision. Testing confirmed that in certain impact scenarios, the tank could be punctured and fuel could ignite. A cost-benefit analysis produced within Ford, later made public through litigation and known as the Grimshaw memo, compared the cost of a design fix at approximately $11 per car against projected lawsuit settlements. In 1978, Ford was charged with reckless homicide in Indiana, one of the first criminal prosecutions of a major American corporation over a product design decision. The case was acquitted. The civil litigation was not. The memo remained public. No other car in American history produced a documented record combining design failure, internal risk analysis, criminal prosecution, and civil liability at this scale. That record is what places the Pinto at number 1.